All right. Hi, everyone. It is Queen Cole here, your host, creator of Light the Path podcast. And today you are in for a wonderful show. It is going to be so good. Today, joining me, I have George. But you better know him as Gator. Yes, we are going to be talking about Killer Mike for president. So, welcome, Gator, to the show.
Well.
Welcome
Thank
to Light the
you.
Path.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And as my standard intro goes, it's Alligator Aloysius being at your service. Hello, everyone in podcast world. How y'all doing today? And you know what's cool? I got on Light the Path merchandise. Oh, snap. Oh, snap.
Hey,
I'm
sound
representing up in here.
Yeah, let me see. Okay, look, we twins today.
Look, right. You got just in time for Christmas. You have the red ensemble that Queen is showing off. You lovely. I like the banner pose. Hello, how are you? The smile, good. And over here, look, my
The
man pose right quick. The nice green, like the path. And I
that
would
is
like to
what's up.
exquisitely hot pink, like the path month.
Okay, and it is October Breast Cancer Awareness. And
yes.
Me on the other side, I am rocking with the black.
Ooh, that is nice. Look at the contour. You see how the light shines off of it. Not too flat, but also not too shiny. I'm telling you, that is awesome merchandise.
See, and we were going to be twins because I almost wore my black shirt, but I think I wore my black shirt last broadcast. I was like, oh, let me pick it up. So we got the glasses.
Yep, got the glasses going on,
We got our shirts, we got our mugs.
Right, I have to look astute.
That was gonna be lit.
Right. But I am so happy to be here. Thank you for having me on here. It is always a pleasure to talk to you.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time to do it. I know this was like a random thought of mine. I had to give a little backstory on it. I was jogging. I've been doing this 100 miles. It's been kicking my butt this month. And I had a random thought. I don't even know where it came from, but I was thinking about like my next shows and what else I need to do as far as Light the Path. And I just thought it was timely. And all of a sudden I hear Gator's voice. Say Killer Mike for president. And I was like, which show did I hear him say that on? I don't know if it was when you were on the Pod Squad or down. No, it had to be the Pod Squad.
You know what? You know what's weird is that I've mentioned it on every social media platform that I could possibly find myself on. It has been literally since the Revolt Summit. I think a little bit before that. I was like, you know what? I got the solution for all of our issues. Let's go hashtag Killer Mike 2020, hashtag Killer Mike for president. And I mentioned it on Down 5, which is one of my podcasts. We call ourselves the most misogynistic podcast on this side of North Kakalaki. But my co-host Roston and I, we dabbled into that a little bit. I mentioned it on a couple of the admin panels that we did. And I think I did mention it on Dope Discussions with Erica, which is my other show that I co-host every Sunday, 6:30 Central, 7:30 Eastern. Shameless plug.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can tell it.
I don't tell it. But yeah, I mentioned it a lot. And there's some gravity to it too. So there's not just a random, it wasn't like a couple years ago when people was like, I'm gonna vote DMX for president. Really, bro? All right.
Right. We're gonna write him in.
Right, you're gonna write in DMX. What? Okay, all right, bro.
That is funny. But before we get into that, it is Tuesday and it is Try New Things Tuesday. I ask every guest, what have you tried new lately?
You know what? That was a good question. And when I thought about that, it's like, what have I tried new? Because I was mentioning to you off air, a lot of things I've been doing have been kind of in this mundane type of thing where it's just been kind of like, oh, I'm part of the rat race and all that kind of stuff. One of the things that I have been doing recently, and this is going to sound so mediocre, is the whole, okay, I'm going to do intermittent fasting. I'm going to drink me a shot of apple cider vinegar when I start, and I'm just gonna, at 12 o'clock when I'm eating, and I'll just do intermittent fasting. I don't eat anymore after 8. That's been probably for the last about a week and a half. And a brother hungry. I ain't gonna even lie. Like they said, after the first couple of days, it's gonna be fine. Lies. But this is something I will definitely stick to. And I can already kind of feel it a little bit and kind of see some results a little bit. It's either that or, my hurt knee is taking all the food. But, you know, that's something new that I've tried. And so far, so good. Fingers crossed. I need emotional support if y'all want to, send me a quick email and say, hey, you can do it. Gator, you can do it. I appreciate it because sometimes I like to cook. Anyway, but yeah, that's what I've learned to do. I mean, it was something that
Okay.
I tried.
I like hearing that. Intermittent fasting is really, I think it's good for you. I think it's good time for your food to digest, and it's good not to eat late. So I'm a snacker, so I definitely have to
Ooh,
do intermittent fasting because I have to have some discipline. Like, do not
right,
even get a snack.
right. And you know what's crazy? I'm not a snacker anymore. But I've always liked to cook. But the problem is, I'm from Louisiana. And we don't know how to cook those small meals down there.
We
So
really
if I
don't.
cook a pot of something, I literally cook a pot of something, whether it be jambalaya or gumbo or something like that. And you know what? I hadn't been doing a lot of my, cultural, quote unquote, my ethnic, my, Cajun food recently. But now all of a sudden, since I'm doing intermittent fasting, I really want a pot of jambalaya. Like I really want something that's just full of carbs. But again, I shall overcome.
Yes, you shall. Well, we are all rooting for you. You're gonna do it. You're gonna keep it going. We're gonna take it day by day. So
Right, exactly. Day by day. And you know what? I will say this. I was trying to be like you, the 100-mile challenge thing, and that's how I hurt my knee. So I'm
oh,
gonna work on that next month.
oh.
I'm gonna work on that next month. I'm gonna get back in shape, with that, and I'm gonna try it again.
Okay, okay. Well, continue to try new things.
Definitely.
So let's dig into this. First question that I have is why Killer Mike?
Man, why not? Why not kill? I mean, do you see the field of candidates that we have before us right now? I mean, it
Woo!
is it's scary. And I say that, and I'm not trying to be, over emotional or that type of stuff. But number one, again, we've got two old white men who are deciding they want to vie for our vote, and I don't care who y'all have as vice presidential, candidates. I mean, we're still looking at the same coin, just flip back and forth. And I think it is time for not only an interjection of youth, but also an interjection of new perspectives on things. I think Killer Mike is one of those people, who, you know, government name Michael Render, came up, in the Atlanta school system. He's a very educated man, number one. He knows his history, not just cultural history, but he also knows a lot about community history, national history. He's not one of those people who just sits there and reads stuff, or I mean, from a teleprompter, or just regurgitates stuff that he heard somebody else say. He's actually studied and can argue points with you on anything that you put on the table with him. But going back to that whole scenario about arguing points, he also sees things outside of a two-party system. He's always been a proponent, even in his music of, people being self-sufficient, relying on themselves, learning how to hunt, learning how to fish, learning how to do all those things. He has a perspective that like kind of puts the onus of progression, self progression on self. So he's not going to be one of those people that a political party can try to influence, because to be honest, he don't side with either party.
Yeah.
So I don't think that either party would be able to affect a lot of the things that he says, the decisions that he makes, all that kind of stuff. His only allegiance is actually to his people. And don't get me wrong, even though he is one of those people who can, talk, to anybody, his allegiance is to his people. His allegiance is to Black people and the progression of Black people. Just because you Black don't mean you're about progressing your people, and I think his whole thought process is about making things better for people who are impoverished and who have gone through the systematic racism that our people have gone through. That being said, he's also not one to point every finger at racism, which is also a very, very good thing. Like, he can see things for what they are, and because not everything is a racist motive behind it.
Right.
And
Right.
he's a big proponent of Second Amendment rights. So I'm big on that. Hold on. Wait. Let me break, because you might want to jump in, because I'll start going all day.
No, go ahead. You're fine. You're saying a lot of valid points, and I know, it's too little, too late for us to have him as a candidate, but I thought it was very timely for us to talk about this, because we have witnessed, as of this broadcast, we've witnessed the presidential debate, and we've also witnessed the vice presidential debate, and so I was like, you know what? It's time for us to reignite this Why Killer Mike, because maybe next time around.
I mean, and one of the things that he mentioned before when he was on, I want to say it wasn't Rogan. I can't remember which show he was on. He said that, that people have approached him about it. And his wife was like, no, I don't want you to get assassinated. And even though that is, he was kind of joking, he was like, it is a serious thing. Like, he doesn't know if he wants to put a lot of his energy into the political, into political expediency. That being said, the country might need that right now. I mean, I was already talking about a Killer Mike and Coleon Noir presidential ticket.
So who else do you think would be a good candidate?
You know what? Looking at one of the things that I say a lot is that Tulsi Gabbard got shafted. I mean, if you look at her record, you look at some of the things that she says, the things that she does, the things she's voted for, the things she's voted against. I mean, she has the perfect, quote unquote, independent record, even though she is a registered Democrat. I think Tulsi would be amazing. I like Andrew Yang. Don't get me wrong. I think he actually has some great ideas to bring to market. I don't think he's polished enough to be president at this point. But then again, Look at who we have in office right now. So, Andrew Yang might be also an interesting choice as well.
Okay. I want to play this video that Killer Mike had. It's asking him, would he go to the White House if Trump invited him? And then what are 3 things that he would ask? So I want to play this, and then I want to get your opinion on what would you do in this scenario also, because I thought it was very interesting. I really like what he said. Hold on, right here it goes.
All right.
Because he remembered the layout. Right. So I'm going to see what my time. I'm going to ball. I want to see what Kennedy got some head.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I'm
Clinton,
going.
Clinton.
I fuck Clinton. Yeah. Kennedy had Maryland. Yeah, I'm going. Where was Maryland laying now? Everybody studying that shit. You know what I mean?
I can't beef for Monica. He looking for Maryland.
Yeah, straight up. You know what I mean? But if I had a chance to sit down with President Trump, the 3 things that I would talk to him about would be radical prison reform, not just prison reform. So shouts out to the brother. There's a Black man over there on his staff that kind of has kept at the forefront, and I'm glad they made some movement on it. I talked to him about reparations, and real reparations by way of land ownership for African Americans, descendants of slaves in his community. And since he's a casino owner, I talked to him about widespread legalization of marijuana based on the fact that since we have suffered 50 years or more since 1937 as essentially the bad guy, I would like for at least if we make up 13% of the population nationally, or like say in Georgia, we make up 35% of the population, 35% of marijuana production, distribution, and dispensaries should be African American.
Should be owned by African Americans.
So I'd like to talk to him about making sure states help, because he remembered.
I thought those were great points. Let me get your feedback on that.
Yeah,
what
I
did
mean,
you think?
number one, I feel like being invited to the White House, no matter if you don't like the person in the office, being invited by the president to the White House is an honor. And then at the same time, it also can be used as a tool. You know, how many people would love to get in the president's ear and talk to the president about something, especially a president that's can be so easily manipulated as the one that we have in office right now. It'd be great to go and talk to him. I think that Killer Mike's perspective on what he would ask him is awesome. I think legitimate prison reform is something that this particular administration actually gives pretty high marks on, as opposed to other administrations. Now, it could be done a lot more. And when he says radical prison reform, I'll take that one step further and say radical reform of the judicial system. And basically, I think from the get-go, I think we're in an environment right now where we're seeing it, where the justice system is kind of systematically racist. So I think maybe tearing down that structure and rebuilding it is the best way to do it. And the only way you're going to be able to do that is on a level where you can, a federal level, basically. As far as the scenario with legalization of marijuana, I think that's a necessity. And I think if I was in that position, I would ask the same question. Hey, look, when are we just going to, say, hey, let's go ahead and legalize marijuana, make this thing a source of income, and decriminalize it, as opposed to kind of sitting here and, acting like some states it's okay, it's cool. And then other places you could get locked up for it. No, there needs to be something that we do on a federal level.
Yeah, and I totally agree with him on that, and you, because so many people have went to prison for years,
right,
over marijuana, and now there are other people of other nationalities that are making money doing the same thing. And so I think some of those people do need to, especially if it was a nonviolent offense, then they need to be let out, and they do need to get some kind of prison reform. I definitely agree with it, because the whole school to prison pipeline, which is a whole nother podcast, but it has to be reformed, because people come out, but then they go back in. It's a $1 billion industry.
It is.
Prison system. The private prisons are making big bank because they're keeping the beds full. And so it definitely needs to be some kind of rehabilitation to not return, because statistics say people go back.
Right. And we have examples of how it can work when we change up the way that it's done. You look at countries in Europe where they don't treat prison the same way. They look at it as more rehabilitation than they do for incarceration. Here we look at it as, to be honest, almost like free slavery. And we lock our people up, we throw away the key. There's no such thing. And there are opportunities, but I don't think that everyone is granted the same opportunities to rehabilitate. Why would I be locked up, number one, for more than 5 years for a nonviolent offense? That makes no sense. But guess what? There are people who I know who got caught with a pound of weed and are still serving 12 years.
Yeah.
Huh? What? And like you said, the same thing that a lot of these other people of other cultures are profiting on right now.
Yeah, it's big business. Yeah. The dispensaries and all that's big business. Colorado got it on lock, and you'll see a soccer mom say, "Oh yeah, I'm going to the dispensary." Like, yeah, it's a thing, and it's accepted. So we definitely need to see that. So, so I was thinking about, okay, so we got Kamala for the vice president. This is what Killer Mike said about a woman president. Let me play this.
You're now seeing the backlash Oprah's getting. You see this?
Yeah.
You know, now like there's people tweeting about like Seal is attacking her, saying like she was, Harvey Weinstein, basically let him slide. She knew about it.
Yeah.
And now Seth MacFarlane saying it's like a circus basically to see these two running against each other. If that really happens, that's not the kind of society.
I think Nina Turner is who we should be supporting for potential presidential bid. If Bernie doesn't go again, she was dynamic as a politician in Ohio. I think she should seek the governorship there. And I think on a national level, we should get behind someone like that. Like Oprah is a billionaire, has businesses and running things of that nature. So you got to ask yourself, if one billionaire is potentially distracted, it could be another person is distracted because of what they have in front of them.
So, and I like Queen O. I can't lie. I like her as a personality. I like all the philanthropy that she does. Yeah. I don't like her for president. I know that's an unpopular opinion, but I agree with Killer Mike on this. I mean, so.
No, I completely agree with Killer Mike on this. Number one, and first and foremost, just the fact that you just did this. You just put in someone who's not saying that career politician is the way to go, but you just put a reality TV star, essentially billionaire, in office. But what we gonna do? We gonna just go ahead and put another billionaire in, but this was gonna be black. And no. We need somebody who has extensive knowledge of law, has extensive knowledge of history, knows how these two things go hand in hand to lead to progression in any agenda that they put forth. And this is part of the reason I say Killer Mike for president. However, you look at an Oprah and it's like, I don't know. I know you know how to do production and all that kind of stuff, Oprah. You're a personality, but we got personality in office right now. You just gonna be a different skin color. No, we need somebody who's actually gonna be able to get in there, knows the law, knows how things work, and go in and actually get some stuff done. Which is why, like I said, I'm a big proponent of a Tulsi Gabbard. Nina Turner, that he just mentioned, excellent choice as well. I think, if we just have to make sure, first of all, I feel like the best candidate should go forward, whether they be, a black woman, white man, gay person, it could be somebody from Mars. If they are the best for the job, go ahead and put them in that office. But at the same time, I think that we get caught up in those details and not the meat. It's almost like we getting caught up in the sear and not the steak. If that makes sense. It's like we see the outside and we're sitting there like, oh, that looks really, really good. Yeah. But they don't have the actual, meat to them to be able to not only be a viable candidate, but when they get in office to get the job done. Donald Trump's seer, not steak.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. So what's important to you as a black man during this election, not just the presidential election, whenever you're voting, even in the, primaries, your local, what's important to you as a black man?
I think being able to look at strengthening our communities. There's a lot that can be done. A lot more that can be done than what is going on right now. If you look at a lot of local elections here in Georgia, for example, from my home state of Louisiana, there's a lot of people who talk, but there's no action. I think that on a local level, we need to really put people in offices that can push forward an agenda that strengthens the entire community. And when I say the entire community, if you target impoverished areas, then guess what? That lifts the entire community. So I think right now that's the most important thing, voting in people who can do that. The other thing to me right now is really looking at, when they say prison reform, like I said, the whole, throw the whole thing out. and redo everything. I think justice reform is necessary right now. That's a big thing to me as a Black person, because, systematic racism is real, but we also got to think about the fact that the lack of training for a lot of these officers is real, and, the over legislation of a lot of, things such as drug use and, hell, even down to traffic citations is real. So all these things, the justice system in itself needs to be torn down. That's really what's important to me. And if you have somebody that gets in the office who says, look, I want to tackle this, I want to actually try to attack it on a federal level, then they got my vote.
Okay. Yeah. And that makes sense to me. I mean, I totally agree with you, because we can't just keep on with this cycle. And that's how I feel like we're in a crazy, vicious cycle that we're still, we're getting the surface, but we're not getting down to the meat of things. And because it has been in place for so long, I know that change is very strange to everyone, but we have to start moving the needle. Like, we have to at least start moving the needle on some of these items.
Right. And that's why I feel, again, Killer Mike for president. That's why I feel like we do, if it's not like a Killer Mike, we just need new blood. I really believe that this two-party system is just not working. My ideal thought would be to have another two parties to come in and, and really kind of shake everything up, because there's not just two ways of thinking about every single topic out there. Absolutely. And what it does is it begins to polarize people to a point to where there's a lot of things that I may not believe in, but because I'm a Democrat, I have to go along with that side of the aisle on their argument.
Right.
Or if I'm a Republican, I believe in Second Amendment rights. I may believe in, freedom of choice for women when it comes to abortion, but because I am a Republican, I have to side on this side.
Right.
There has to be more than one option. There's more colors than just black and white in the crayon box. So there's different ways, different philosophies, different thoughts of how to run this country. And I believe we get robbed of those things when, we get stuck in this whole two-party system that we're in right now.
I definitely agree. I think that's an excellent idea. Where can we submit that at? Because we need to get you on the ballot somewhere, Gator. What committee on in the White House?
Look, I already voiced my opinions on, how they need to start approaching, law enforcement reform and all that, sending police officers to like a 4-year, 5-year college, technically almost set up where they got 5 years of training before they even get on the, get out there. And then they have psych evaluations every 6 months. Those are different things that are there. The decriminalization of marijuana and literally any nonviolent offense that you have gets you no more than 4 years in prison. Those types of things. I think those things would help. But we need somebody in office who is, has that in mind instead of just getting in office and continuing the status quo that we have.
Yeah, I think we definitely need somebody that's more progressive. With two old white men, it's not that's not progressive at all. Not
right. And actually, it don't matter if it's two old white men, because you can have, a black person or a woman that is running for one of those parties, but it's still that same two-party system, which means they still have those same constituents that they have to answer to. The reason Obama couldn't do a lot of things is because he still had to kind of follow the Democratic Party line.
Yep.
The reason George Bush had issues with George W. when he was president, is because he literally got yanked back on a whole bunch of things by his party, saying, no, that's too much like a Democrat.
Yep.
So, I mean, yeah, we got to get out of that absolute. I'm about to be a nerd right now. There's a scene in Star Wars where, Obi-Wan tells Darth Vader only a Sith deals in absolutes, meaning that there is only a black and white, and only somebody who is purely evil thinks of everything in a either this black or that mentality. I really believe that that's something that we should follow. We should follow Obi-Wan.
Absolutely. I totally agree. I like to ask the guests this because I love your perspective. That's obviously why I had you on the show. But what are you reading? I have a book club, Cover to Cover Book Club. And I like to know, what are you reading, or what's your favorite book that you have read?
You know what? I got to get more active in this book club, by the way, because I was like, I need to jump in there and I need to do it. So that's coming. I told y'all, next book, I'm jumping in. I'm anxious to see what the next book is going to be, because that's going to be the next book I read. It's so weird because I do mostly articles. I do mostly like news clips, and I read news from New Zealand. I read news from Mexico and Brazil and those places like that. So in Europe, of course. It's hard to say what's the last real book that I sat down and said, oh, I'm going to thumb through the pages of this right quick. Outside of I have a marketing 101 book that I've been reading, but that's neither here or there.
But that's kind of reading. I mean, because see, for me, the reason why I started Cover to Cover is because I read sort of more for business, more for self-help, more I have one genre that I just stick to. So Cover to Cover has really stretched me. I've read books that I would have never picked up, and I've actually enjoyed them. So I'm like, what is this? So it's totally different. Right. So you jump in there, a marketing book, that's cool too. I mean, we gotta learn how to make these moves. So yeah.
Got to money moves.
Exactly. So the final thing that I want to ask you, to light the path for someone who would tell you that, you know what, my vote doesn't count, how would you encourage them to vote?
You know what? Everybody has their own opinion on, what their vote actually does. But I'll say this, your vote counts to everybody who fought for you to have the ability and the right to go vote. No matter if you think your vote's not going to be counted. There are elections. There was an election in Louisiana I think it was last October, because we're in October. Yeah, so it's been almost a year, where the candidate that won by 41 votes.
Wow.
41 votes.
Wow.
So each and every vote does matter, especially when you can get as a consensus with your friends and y'all talk about politics. Y'all talk about the policies that this candidate has, the policies that candidate has, and y'all go as a group and vote. Hey, look, this is we're gonna go out there, we're gonna vote for this person because we really believe in what they're saying and what they're doing. But that means that your individual vote counted to that group. Definitely your vote counts. And like I said, and if not just specifically to you, but to everybody who fought for it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Gator, tell everybody where they can follow you at on social media.
Oh, wow. So you can actually go to IG, Instagram for, us older folks. I'm at GatorLive_down5 on there. You can actually visit the Dope Discussions with Erica page on Facebook and find me there as well, hiding somewhere in the background. Every Sunday, 6:30 Central, 7:30 Eastern, you can find me on the Dope Discussions with Erica podcast. Down 5, we don't have a set time, but we go on live Saturdays. And then you can also find us on Anchor, iHeartRadio. If you look up Dope Discussions with Erica on iHeartRadio, we are there. Amazon Music, we're also there. Spotify for Down 5. You can find us on just about any streaming platform that you have. And we're about to get ourselves introduced to YouTube. So we'll be on this platform as well soon.
That's awesome. Well, Gator, thank you so much for being on the show. I appreciate your perspective and taking the time to chat with me today about Killer Mike for president.
Well, I appreciate you inviting me here. I love being on here. It's awesome. It's awesome. And I get to represent.
Yes, thank you for representing. You branded down today. You branded down.
Oh yeah, definitely. We do this.
Yeah. Look, cheers.
Cheers to you.
All right, thank you.